All right, ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Now, if you follow this page, channel, then obviously you're a big time MMA fan, UFC fan, but back in the day, it wasn't just about the UFC. There was also PRIDE FC, which was, I remember when I first discovered mixed martial arts, blew my mind. Some of the spectacles, the crowds, 90,000 people at the Saitama Super Arena, some of the matchups that would happen, and the rules that were allowed as well, or the lack of them, for want of that. The 10-minute rounds. It was awesome. It was great. Pride never dies is what they say, but unfortunately it did. It went away, but there's been some incredible fights in Pride over the years. And if you're a fan of MMA, then of course you're a fan of PRIDE FC. And if you haven't, if you're a new guy, newbie, as they say, go back and watch some of those fights. They're simply sensational. Anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. I'm going to give you 15 facts about Pride, which potentially you never knew, and which are going to blow your mind. All right, number 15, freak show fights. Pride are great fighters, as I just said. Many, many great fighters, but they also loved a good freak show fight. They had champion baseball players. They had tons of wrestlers. They had sumo champions competing in the ring. The Japanese didn't care. Whatever they thought would capture the imagination of the buying public, whatever they thought they wanted to see, the matchups, it didn't matter. They weren't sanctioning a sport. They weren't trying to build a sport. They were just trying to entertain motherfuckers. And my God, they did that with some incredible fights. Number 14. Steroids, good. Drugs, bad. They didn't care. They didn't discriminate. In fact, they even encouraged people to take steroids. I know a fighter that shall remain nameless that was given a picture of himself all roided out, and currently he wasn't roided out. He might have been called Phil Baroni, I don't know. But they said, we don't want this Phil Baroni, we want that Phil Baroni, and it was like, you know, the big inflated version. So as I say, they didn't care if you were taking steroids, but if you were on drugs, if you were found to be taking cocaine, heroin, or anything like that, that was it. That wasn't good. Steroids, good. Recreational drugs, bad, which of course they are bad. I'm not justifying them, but they were okay with the steroids, but they were bad with the drugs. And if you did, you didn't get your purse at all. You did not get paid. Number 13, they treated their biggest star like absolute crap. And of course, I'm talking about the Gracie Hunter, Kazushi Sakuraba himself. Here was a guy that everybody revered, the Japanese public, everyone, all MMA fans. In fact, Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, and Sean Shelby, Kazushi Sakuraba was one of their favorite fighters, but they treated him like crap. Even though he went out there and beat a ton of sensational fighters, he never got a title fight once. He beat Royce Gracie, Renzo Gracie, Royce Gracie, but he was never given a title shot. Instead, he was given crazy matchups with the likes of Wanderlei Silva, Quinton Rampage Jackson, and of course, Mirko Cro Cop. Right leg, hospital, left leg, cemetery. All right, in at number 12, Pride put on fixed fights. Well, according to the commentators, according to people like Bas Rutten, okay? When referees wear an earpiece, I mean, come on, when the referee's wearing an earpiece, there's something dodgy about that, because the producers or the owners, the bosses, whatever you want to call them, they're like, hold on, stand them up, put them down, reposition them. There's no need for a referee to have an earpiece in. It's as simple as that. And according to what people say, because I wasn't there, Nobuhiko Takayada versus Mark Coleman, that was a 100% fixed fight. Coleman apparently needed the money, so he let the pro wrestler Nobuhiko Takada beat him, and the commentary from Bas Rutten on air even said, come on, this is 100% a fixed fight. This is 100% fixed fight. I can't do a Dutch accent, not like Bas Rutten anyway. All right, number 11, Bob Sapp. That's it. That's the fact. Bob Sapp, this man was absolutely gargantuan, and the Japanese could not get enough of this guy. And to be honest, he did deliver a lot of excitement. I mean, you just take one look at the guy, you can see this man is a physical specimen. He was one of Pride's biggest draws. He was 6'5", 350 pounds of absolute freak muscle. Sapp had endorsement deals with protein bars, airlines, frozen peas. Come on, who doesn't love a good frozen pea endorsement? Come on, man. Got to get those 5 a day in. And here's just an example of how big Bob Sapp was in Japan. The owners of Pride, they had to rent out nightclubs so that Bob Sapp could go and have a drink and be left in peace. Yeah, that's right. They would hire nightclubs, right? They would fill it with extras, essentially, dancers, people at the bar, all the rest of it. But they were all paid performers. Bob Sapp would sit there, have a drink. Everyone around there was pretending they're actually in a real nightclub. And that's just so Bob Sapp could go and live a normal life. I mean, absolutely insane. Number 10. Pride were mobbed up, that is correct. Apparently they were owned by the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, the Japanese mob, whatever you want to call them, but they were often ringside, armed up, some very, very nasty people. But they knew how to put on a good fight, that's for sure. And eventually those mob ties were exposed. Fuji TV that were airing the Pride fights, they were forced to cancel the deal. And then eventually, ultimately, Zuffa, UFC, they came in and bought Pride for just over $40 million. Number 9, the war with the UFC. The UFC and Pride, they were the biggest promotions back in the day. I love the UFC, but I also love Pride, the freak show element, the 10-minute rounds, as I said before, the massive crowds, and of course, the fights. The fighters that they had there were absolutely unbelievable. Now, during that war, there was always talk of who had the better fighters, you know what I mean? Would Fedor be able to come to the UFC? That one was talked about for ages. Randy Couture going over to Pride, how would he do? And they made it interesting to be an MMA fan, and Dana actually agreed to do a crossover fight. Chuck Liddell go over there fighting Pride, and then one of their stars was supposed to fight in the UFC, but Pride double-crossed Dana. Chuck Liddell went out to Japan, fought Quinton Rampage Jackson, didn't go his way. Rampage got a fantastic knockout, but they never returned the favour. But of course, the tables turned in 2006. The UFC, they launched The Ultimate Fighter, which went on to become a huge success and was part of the catalyst for the UFC exploding the way it did. And as I said before, Pride went out of business and Zuffa ended up buying them. So there we go. Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, UFC, they certainly won that war. All right, real quick, I want to tell you about Chimera coffee. First of all, Chimera coffee tastes absolutely delicious, but it is full of essential vitamins and minerals that are going to help you. There's actually components in there and ingredients that are going to help your brain. They're going to help you stay focused. They're going to help your endurance. We've got vitamin B12, we've got glycine, we've got tyrosine, whatever that is. Chimera's Coffee's line of products has an overall Amazon rating of 4.8 stars with thousands of reviews worldwide. Chimera's vitamins help you sustain that coffee boost and eliminates that crash feeling, giving you a unique coffee experience. It's the most productive coffee ever. So listen, go to the link in the episode description down below or go to chimeracoffee.com. Okay, I'm telling you, you're going to love this stuff. Main thing, well, listen, first of all, it's good for you. You keep that boost. You don't feel sluggish afterwards, but it tastes amazing. chimeracoffee.com. Click the link down below. In at number 8, Antonio Minotauro Nogueira, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. Minotauro, okay, an absolute legend, UFC champ, Pride champ, one of the biggest stars that they had. He was competing against the legend Fedor, the last emperor, Emelianenko at Pride Shockwave in 2004. And what the runners, the promoters of Pride wanted, again, another spectacle, was all the fighters coming in suspended 200 feet in the air. However, Nogueira was absolutely shit scared of heights, so doesn't matter. He's got a twin brother. Bring the twin brother in, 200 foot up in the air. No one's going to know, of course, Nogueira. Minotauro's getting ready. He's going to fight Fedor Emelianenko, but his brother stepped up, his twin brother stepped up, and he was actually the guy high up in the air. Number 7, no rounds, no rules, no referees. Yes, that is right. Sounds bizarre, but that is what Pride did. Listen, they wanted Royce Gracie to fight there so badly, they let him dictate how the fight would go down. And of course, they wanted him to fight their star, Kazushi Sakuraba. So they let Gracie invent his own rules. Unlimited. 15 rounds. No holds barred. No judges. The referee couldn't stop the fight. Doctors couldn't stop the fight. The fight kept going until there was a submission or a knockout. And they booked the Tokyo Dome for 2 days just in case the fight went on. And by the way, Sakuraba ended up winning the fight after a crazy 93 minutes of continuous fighting. Number 6. They paid all of their fighters in cash. Yeah, that's right. If you were fighting on Pride back in the day, you probably, you did all right not paying your taxes because, as I said before, it was owned by the mob. So they paid all their fighters in cash. And I've heard many stories from people that competed there, giving it out to the cornermen for them to carry through customs. Don Frye still talks about it to this day, how he was always smuggling money back home. I know a couple of other people that shall remain nameless. And they would carry the legal amount, give some to their opponents, put some in this bag, put some in that bag. As I say, bit of a pain in the ass, but not too bad if you made it home because you didn't have to pay tax on that money. But still, there you go. Because they were mobbed up, they paid all of their fighters in good old-fashioned card hold cash. Number 5, better than fiction. That's right. I'm talking about the fights. Some of the fights, the spectacles, the mismatches, whatever you want to call them, the entrances, they were absolutely phenomenal, and they were better than fiction. You couldn't make some of this shit up. I mean, when Don Fry went up against Yoshihiro Takayama, which is an absolutely legendary performance, the pair of them just clinched each other, throwing back and forth, non-stop punches as hard as they can. It was unbelievable, and the Japanese public absolutely lost their mind. Takayama and Don Fry had to repeat that many times. They had to do it on their professional wrestling shows. They had to do it on TV shows. They actually had a movie made about it, and they had to recreate that scene in there. So there you go. As I say, better than fiction in some ways. Number 4, they signed Mike Tyson. Iron Mike Tyson. They signed him to a deal. He flew out there. He was ringside. He was talking shit. But of course, he never fought, because Mike Tyson doesn't want to fight mixed martial arts. But the whole thing was just a publicity stunt. Of course, you get Iron Mike ringside at Pride in front of all those thousands of people. You know, the Japanese are just totally enamored by a guy like Mike Tyson and Bob Sapp, you know what I mean? So it looked like there was a fight going to happen there, but of course, it never did happen. Just a massive publicity stunt. But they did sign Mike Tyson. Number 3. 33 KOs using illegal strikes. Under the sanctioned rules of mixed martial arts, of course, as we know in Pride, you can do a lot of crazy stuff. In all the fights that Pride had, there was 566 Pride fights which happened. 207 of them ended in KO, and 33 of those were via strikes that, as I said, were illegal under the unified rules of MMA. And we're talking soccer kicks, head stomps, knees to a grounded opponent, which are absolutely vicious. And I remember, as I say, 2004, I started learning about MMA, or 2003, pardon me. And when I would watch these fights out in Japan, you know, people jumping up in the air like Shogun and stomping on people's heads, and Vanderlei Silva, the entire shooter box crew, it blew my mind. But it was awesome. It really was. Number 2, zombie piss. Zombie piss, Bisping. What on earth are you talking about? Well, this is a reference back to the late, great Kevin the Monster Randleman. Rest in peace, my brother. Great guy, legend, UFC champion, had a great career in Pride, and the people of Japan loved him. However, there was a guy that, you know, as I said, they never tested for performance-enhancing drugs in Japan, but when they came to America, they did. So in America, they tested Kevin Randleman, and it wasn't the best sample that he gave, because he still failed the post-fight drug test. And upon further analysis, they found to be no human hormones which were present in the sample which he provided. Somehow, he had given a urine sample of a dead person. I mean, listen, 10 out of 10 for creativity, but somehow he still failed the test. You know what I mean? But still, zombie piss was in effect. And number 1, the whole thing started with the dojo storm. And this is part of the reason that I love Pride so much, because there was such a traditional mixed martial arts element to it. You would see people fighting in their gis. You would see people fighting in traditional lucha masks. You know, we had this Mexican guy with the wrestling mask on fighting Cro Cop. You had Sakuraba. You had the Gracies. You know, you had people in wrestling boots. You know, it was very much a throwback. And this entire thing started with the dojo storm. Dojo storms are when one style of martial art storms into another one. They challenge them because they think that their style is the more effective and they're better than them, or they just want to kick the fuck out of that school. Maybe there was a little bit of Japanese beef going on, but still, that's how it started. A little bit of Wagyu beef. And the actual story with this one, it started when Japanese pro wrestler Yoji Anju flew to the US to challenge Rickson Gracie in December 1994. Rickson beat the shit out of Anjo. It was huge news in Japan, and the promoters, well, they saw a massive opportunity and they took that ball and they ran with it. Pride never dies, but it did die. However, the memories are still there. You can find a lot of the fights online or on UFC Fight Pass. Go check them out. If you haven't seen them, just some of the performances are mind-blowing. As I said, legendary fights between Fedor Emelianenko and Minotauro Nogueira. You got Cro Cop head-kicking people all over the place. Quinton Rampage Jackson power bombing Ricardo Arona. I mean, the list really is endless. Shogun, when he became the Pride Grand Prix champion in 2004, he went on the most sensational run. You need to check that out. There's some amazing fights, some amazing videos, some amazing fighters, and some amazing memories from Pride FC. But it did die. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you're well. Take care. All the best. I'm off to England. Take care.